Now at 10.
Seeing that first truck roll out, it was like, yes, okay.
The coronavirus vaccine has arrived in San Antonio. Tonight, meet a woman who's just hours away from rolling up her sleeves to get the shot.
Plus, it's official, the message President-elect Joe Biden has to America now that his victory has been affirmed.
More freezing temperatures in the forecast, plus we need to be looking heavenly.
Holiday shipping, it's always a hassle, and it's likely to be worse this year. Shipping secrets to get your gifts under the tree in time.
In the spirit of the holiday season, the NCAA may have a big fat present under the tree for the city of San Antonio.
Eyewitness News at 10 starts right now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Deborah Knapp.
And I'm Aaron Wright. First at 10, a major milestone for America. The largest mass vaccination effort in our nation's history is underway.
The Pfizer coronavirus vaccine began distribution today, just days after being approved by the FDA. In San Antonio, people from Wilford Hall Ambulatory Surgical Center and Brooke Army Medical Center were among the first group to get the shot.
Tonight, local leaders with a message on how we must continue taking safety precautions even as hope arrives.
As vaccines begin to make their way into San Antonio, we must remain vigilant. Hope is here. Let's each do our part to make sure that that hope for an end to this pandemic becomes a reality.
Tomorrow, more people will have the groundbreaking drug given to them.
We've learned UT Health San Antonio will begin administering those on the front lines first. Eyewitness News reporter Henry Ramos spoke to one woman who is just hours away from being injected.
It is historic, once in a generation, and we are all living history.
Adelita Cantu will be a part of history.
Seeing that first truck roll out, it was like, yes, okay.
The associate professor of nursing at UT Health San Antonio will be among the first group in our city to get the coronavirus vaccine.
I am just so thrilled to be a part of getting our community where we need to.
The San Antonio native says public health is her passion, and getting this shot means the world to her and her community.
This is the first step to getting that herd immunity that we need in this community. So being on the ground of that, being on the ground level of that is exciting.
UPS unloading the boxes of hope Monday morning at UT Health San Antonio. It is one of 4 sites across Texas to receive the first shipment of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine. Around 6,000 doses arriving. They are being stored in freezing temperatures.
We need to get as many people vaccinated as possible to create that herd immunity, which will then protect people who cannot get it.
Henry joins us live from UT Health San Antonio. Henry, how many people will get the shot tomorrow?
Deborah, the goal is 200 doses, and as mentioned, Cantu is part of that first group here at UT Health San Antonio. And remember, this is a 2-shot process. They'll get the first shot tomorrow and then the second one in about 3 weeks. Tonight, I also asked city leaders, when will our hospitals start receiving the coronavirus vaccine? Well, they couldn't give me an exact date, but they told me here in the coming days. We're live outside UT Health San Antonio tonight. Henry Ramos, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.
Henry, thank you. Governor Greg Abbott says Texas is slated to receive more doses of the vaccine this month than the total number of Texans who've tested positive for the virus. Health officials across the state estimate we will get 1.4 million doses by the end of the year. Texas leaders say thousands of them will be shipped in the coming days. Doctors say the initial dosage is not for those who've already had the virus. However, it's for those who don't currently have antibodies. As we've been reporting, those on the front lines will be first in line, the vaccine not yet available to the general public. As vaccinations roll out here in San Antonio, we want to make sure you have access to the facts. KENS5.com, KENS5 app for the latest developments.
Now at 10, Joe Biden is a step closer to becoming the nation's 46th president. Today, the Electoral College selected Biden as the winner of the 2020 race for the White House. Michael George reports on the historic process.
The Electoral College has made it official, formally choosing Joe Biden as the nation's next president.
The vote took place in state houses across the country on Monday, including in hotly contested states like Georgia.
I am pleased to announce that Joseph R. Biden has received 16 votes for President of the United States.
There were no so-called faithless electors or other voting irregularities, though threats of violence led Michigan to close its capital to the public. California cast the decisive ballots.
We today, the electors, have cast 55 votes, more than any other state, for Joe Biden as president, and 55 votes for Kamala Harris as vice president.
In the end, Biden received a total of 306 electoral votes. President Trump, 232. Congress will count the votes on January 6th. After the Electoral College voted, President-elect Biden addressed the nation from here in Wilmington, Delaware. He urged the country to move forward from the election.
We, the people, voted. Faith in our institutions held. The integrity of our elections remains intact. And now it's time to turn the page, as we've done throughout our history.
Advisors to President Trump said he would continue to challenge the election results until the inauguration on January 20th.
We have more than enough time to right the wrong of this fraudulent election result and certify Donald Trump as the winner of the election.
On Monday evening, the White House announced another major personnel move. Attorney General William Barr is stepping down, effective December 23rd. President Trump praised Barr on Twitter, saying he's done an outstanding job. Michael George, CBS News, Wilmington, Delaware.
President Trump said Deputy Attorney General Jeff Rosen will become acting Attorney General after Barr leaves office.
Now to an update on coronavirus cases here in Bexar County. Tonight, there are 599 new cases. There are 0 new deaths. However, hospitalizations continue to spike. There are 769. That's up 40 since Sunday. Officials say this week's risk level is moderate. Some good news, the positivity rate has dropped to 12.5%. Last week, it was sitting at 15.7%. Dr. Colleen Bridger will continue to serve San Antonio as Pandemic Incident Commander of the coronavirus pandemic response. Last week, we told you that Bridger handed in her letter of resignation and was expected to leave at the beginning of the year. Today, City Manager Eric Walsh announced she'd be staying on. Dr. Bridger says she will stay on and work part-time.
It didn't make a lot of sense to bring in somebody who didn't have pandemic incident commander experience. So that will be my job. I will be working part-time on making sure we continue to do everything humanly possible to respond to, mitigate, and ease out of the pandemic.
Dr. Bridger also serves as Assistant City Manager while the city conducts a nationwide search for the new Metro Health Director. Mary Garr, President and Chief Executive Officer of Family Service in San Antonio, has agreed to serve as the Interim Director of Metro Health.
Big news for sports fans and the city of San Antonio. The entire NCAA women's basketball tournament could be played right here. Sports Director Joe Reinigal joins us now.
Joe, has the decision been made official?
No, Aaron, it hasn't, but, it makes perfect sense. The Final Four was already scheduled here in 2021, and it would follow the lead of what the NCAA is doing with the men's tournament. All of that tournament's going to be played in Indianapolis. Obviously, all of this is due to COVID-19, folks not wanting to travel as much. So they want to create a bubble similar to what they did with the NBA in Orlando. We are told that talks are underway between the NCAA and San Antonio city officials. A decision should be finalized by the end of January at the latest. Now, the teams would play at Incarnate Word and UTSA, and then, of course, once they get to the Final Four, that would be at the Alamo Dome. Mayor Ron Nuremberg issued a statement earlier today saying San Antonio is honored the NCAA is exploring our city to host its 2021 NCAA Women's Basketball Championship. Now, we were already preparing to host a tremendous women's Final Four, but to host all 64 teams would be both exciting and a great opportunity for our local economy. It's also a tremendous responsibility, he says, and I know our local organizing committee and our hospitality industry will make the safety and well-being of the athletes, coaches, and fans its highest priority. Of course, this city sets up so well for big events like this, and the folks do a great job, and I'm sure this is going to get done. So we're going to have a great time in March, where Bill Taylor promises perfect weather.
You know this.
Of course.
It's part of the hospitality. Hey, coming up, we had a cold day today. 20s this morning, 50s this afternoon, and I've got another cold front coming in tomorrow night. Also, why we need to be looking heavenly for sure. Deb?
Always. All right, Phil. A potential coronavirus vaccine is giving people false positives to HIV tests. The country that's now holding off on the Pfizer vaccine following the discovery from researchers.
All 64 teams. That'd be